Hello, I'm Emma O'Brien, a transformational life and business coach, and in this video I'm going to share with you 5 perception shifts you can make right now to feel happier. So I don't know about you, but I find the constant bombardment of negative news and negative talk on the radio, in newspapers, on Facebook and everywhere else completely exhausting and emotionally quite debilitating. So without wanting to be a total pleb, I don't read the news. I don't have the radio on in the car. I do not listen to the kind of outdoor chatter that's going on in the general population. So, because I find all that happens if I'm listening to news is it makes me very anxious. And I think for a lot of us, a lot of people are very anxious. Anxiety is on the up and up and up. And I think what happens in the media is hugely to blame for that, because why wouldn't you be anxious when there's a war going on in the Ukraine, the exchange rate, the oil price, the gas price, the food price, cost of living? I mean, it's just constant stuff to worry about. So I'm going to share with you 5 things you can do to shift your perception away from panicking and worrying about external stuff that is happening, and just some tips that I have implemented in my own life to enable me to feel better on a day-to-day basis. One that isn't in my 5 tips, here's an extra bonus tip: just switch off the news, switch off the radio, limit your scrolling, be careful of the pages you're looking at when you go online, because these things tend to suck us in. Be careful what you're consuming and monitor what you allow into your consciousness, because you are in control of that. And it's not about not caring, it's not about, pretending this stuff isn't going on, but it is pointless worrying about things you cannot change unless anybody listening to this is on Putin's advisory board. You can't change a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world right now. So you can choose to not allow it in and not allow it airtime in your head, because every time you're worrying about something like that, you are not focusing on what's happening in your own life. And that really is where the action is happening for any of us. It's in our own lives, our own bubbles. So here's how you can feel better in your own bubble. Okay, so the first one is to have a look at what is it you do have in your life that's really good and working for you right now. So often we're very caught up with what we don't have, with goals that we're working towards, how we think we'll feel when we reach a goal, and we tend to get very dissatisfied with where we are in the moment, and we think, when I've got my Land Rover Defender, I'll feel better about myself. Well, if I don't feel good about myself now, having a luxury expensive car ain't going to change that for me. So what do I have right now that I can be grateful for? And writing a gratitude list is a great way to really center yourself and actually get you into a really positive frame of mind of focusing on what is working. I think most people, I hope, watching this have got some really good friends, will have had some great experiences. Hopefully you've got some really good stuff happening in your lives if you just shuffle around and actually look for it. What we focus on grows. So if we sit around looking at what we don't have, that is where we sit, being completely unsatisfied and fed up and thinking that we need to have a fleet of cars to be happy. We don't. What do you have? What's going right in your life? What great people do you have in your life? What great experiences do you have? Who has given you a compliment this week? And can you make a list of at least 5 things that you have right now that are going well for you? It can be as simple as your kid drew you a really cute picture and they brought it home from school. It can be as simple as that, but it's something that you can look at and go, oh, I do have some things to be grateful for. Actually, where I'm at right now, I'm all right. The second thing that brings me to is actually getting yourself quite present in the present moment. And a great question to ask: Often we get trapped in worrying about paying bills, worrying about what if this happens, what if that happens, what did I say at that party last week, what do they think about me, what if I don't get 10,000 more Instagram followers, what if. And all we ever have is the moment we're in right now. So great question you can ask yourself is, am I okay right now? Right now, in this moment, me, on this day, this very minute, am I okay? And chances are, unless you are one of the characters on Homeland who we know they're never okay, you probably are. And if you can sit with that and just go, all right, actually right now I'm okay. What I'm doing is worrying about what's going to happen in 15 days time at the end of the month. Am I going to have enough money then to pay my bills? But am I okay right now? And if you can bring yourself into the present, it just stops the worry train in its tracks a little bit, and it just helps to soothe the anxiety a little bit. The third thing is to start to have a look at difficult situations that involve other people from a slightly more compassionate perspective. So we can all relate to having hard stuff happen with other people. So whether that is somebody at work, has made life a bit difficult for you, you've been snapped at by your spouse, your kid's in a mood, you've got a difficult customer. These things, unfortunately, however diligently we go through the world, things happen. And one way to look at that, rather than getting angry and reactive about it, which is very easy to do, and it's often kind of our go-to response, is to have a look at it and think about, could something have caused this other person's behavior towards me that isn't to do with me? Could there be something else going on for them? So I'm going to quote two guys that I quite enjoy, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. So I don't know if anyone's got or read the Book of Joy or watched on Netflix Mission Joy, the documentary about it. It's a really wonderful feel-good book, and the conversations are very interesting. And one thing that Desmond Tutu talked about is if somebody is like racing past you in traffic and driving like a complete idiot, you've got to, often our go-to with that is, oh my God, what a dick. Which is, if someone's driving like an idiot, that is kind of your go-to response. But what Desmond suggested thinking is, rather than getting angry with that person and judging them, what if they have an emergency? Which is possible. We don't know. What if they're racing to get to hospital because their person, something has happened to them, and that is why they are driving erratically and fast? All of a sudden, your perspective shifts from being super angry and reactive to, I feel quite compassionate for that person. And when we feel compassionate, we feel better. Compassion feels far better than anger, and you will take the way you feel affects how your life unfolds, in a nutshell. And if we can feel compassion rather than anger, you will be able to respond far better to everybody in your life, not just a person driving like a maniac. The fourth thing is to have a look at what are the opportunities in a perceived failure. Often, I coach life and business clients, and often people come for coaching because stuff isn't working, they're stuck, something's gone wrong. Let's say, for example, you've come to the end of a marriage and it wasn't your choice and it isn't what you wanted. Often people end up getting stuck in, it's not fair. This shouldn't have happened to me, it's not fair. And the only way to move past that is to start to have a look at what are the lessons in this and what are the opportunities in this, and how can I take this experience, use it, and move forwards having processed through it. And this is Dalai Lama this time shared a story of, he was asked about, how do you not feel angry at the Chinese government about what they've done with Tibet and the fact that you have not been able to go back to your country of origin where your people are? You're in exile. He's been in exile for 50 odd years, I believe. And what he said was, yes, it was awful. Yes, we all ended up as refugees. But as a result of ending up as a refugee, I have been able to travel, to learn, to meet people, to share with people, and he said, the opportunities and experiences I have had as a result of becoming a refugee have been amazing. And had everything not happened with Tibet, I wouldn't have had these experiences. He wouldn't probably not have been writing the Book of Joy. He'd have been neatly tucked away in Tibet doing his Dalai Lama thing. And he's looked at it from a frame of what opportunities have come out of that. And I just think that's such a wonderful lesson, is when stuff goes wrong in life, because it does, it's life, is you can look at it and go, all right, where's the learning here? If I find myself in this situation again, what could I do differently? How could I have responded differently? And how can I take the lessons and move forward with this and let it go? And I think that is all about seeing the opportunity in failure. And that is how successful people become successful, because they learn from stuff, they pick themselves up, they dust themselves down, and they carry on. So that is a really important one, and I think it's a really great one to sit with. And the last one is, and you'll hear me talk about this intermittently, because I had my stepmom passed away from terminal cancer last year. It was a big wake-up call for me. I had not really spent much time with my dad and stepmom in the UK. I'd not really called as often as I should have done, because I took for granted that we had plenty of time. Turns out we didn't. And that was a big shake-up for me. So it's a big lesson. And the last one I want to share is, if you had 1 month to live, would the stuff you're worrying about still worry you? And I think, I can't remember who said it, there was a wonderful thing of like, is this going to matter in 5 years' time? And if it's not, let it go now. And I think thinking about stuff in terms of the value of our time, and should I really be giving this that much of my time, is really useful, because it helps us just to let stuff go and move on. Because often I do it, everybody does it. We get caught up on little things. So-and-so said something rude to me, and, we get in this loop about it, and does it matter? Often we feel the need, we've got to win an argument, or we have to convince this person that our point of view is correct. In the grand scheme of things, does it matter? Can you let it go for the sake of your own inner peace? So, I would love to know how this has been helpful for you, and what you are going to put into practice from watching this video. The calmer and more emotionally regulated we are as individuals, the better we cope with challenging situations in life. And being calm and emotionally regulated is about managing what's happening internally with our emotions, and managing especially our negative emotions, which are very powerful. Anger, resentment, jealousy, all of these things, they come up, and they really affect how we treat other people, how we interact with other people. And of course, if you treat somebody with anger, what the hell are you going to get back from them? The same. And it just perpetuates this cycle of life being difficult and full of conflict for many of us. So the kinder and calmer we are able to be, the better life and more enjoyable life will be. Because let's face it, I am all about being here to live our best lives and enjoy the time we have as pleasantly and as successfully as possible. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you again soon.